Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Steven.
And Kyle.
And it's Monday Holocult. You know what that means. We're here to hang out with you, kickstart your work week, talk some weird shit. You know the drill. It's great. Hope everybody's having had a safe weekend. Thanks for choosing us to kind of entertain you on this fine Monday morning. Kyle's diving back into, he said he's got some big research going on this round.
It's a lot of words.
We are here for it, but we got to get through the business. So check us out at all our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Search up the Holosky Podcast and come be part of the community. Join the cult. It's the cool thing to do. It really is. If you have a paranormal experience you'd like for us to feature on a future show, Kyle's got some info for you.
I do. It's easy. Check the show notes, or you can just write out an email, shoot it over to the email, which is going to be holoskypodcast@gmail.com. Then we put it in our filing system, and it's off to the races.
That's literally how it works.
It is.
It's a gravy. If you'd like to support the show, plenty of ways you can do it. We have a Patreon where for a mere $7 a month, which is less than a $10 lottery ticket.
Touche.
Easy math. You can get all kinds of extra stuff. 50 unreleased episodes or Patreon only episodes, ad-free episodes, early drop to all of our episodes, exclusive AI casket breath music, and coupons to the store, all kinds of stuff. Speaking of store, holoskypodcast.com. There's a merch store over there. Check that out. There's tons of goodies over there. Shirts, hats, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. You can go over there and get some swag, rep the Holocult. Stickers. If you'd like some free QR slaps to vandalize your town, shoot us your address. I got 450 new ones over here that are just itching to be misdemeanor. So let's get it. You can also share the show word of mouth anywhere you listen to podcasts. Whenever people are talking about podcasts, anything paranormal, just kind of throw our name in the hat. Reddit's been doing hella good, keeping our name out and about. So kudos to our Reddit family over there. You can also go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and review, which definitely helps the old algorithm, which is what we like to tell ourselves. We don't actually know how algorithms work, but it can't be bad. And I'll shout you out. And people think that's kind of cool, so it works out. This week's 5-star rating and review comes to us from our friend, LZJDFR. LZ says, 5 stars, ear boner. PSA, listening to this podcast for copious amounts of time may induce erratic, bulging ear boners. Thanks, Steve Kyle. Metal emoji, ear emoji, eggplant emoji, fire emoji, surprised emoji, secret emoji, metal emoji.
Damn.
So
coming in a little aggressive.
LZ coming in hot. We're glad that we can not only entertain you, but also titillate. Titillate? What's the word?
Something. I don't know.
I don't know either. But whatever we're doing something right. Ear boners abound. We appreciate the kind words and the 5 stars. These just keep getting better every time. So yeah. Keep them coming. We appreciate them. We're glad we can be that for you.
That's no lie.
So that's that. We're at that 5-minute mark. Forgot to put that in the beginning of the show. If you're new here, skip to 5 minutes if you want to go straight to the show. But at this point, you've already listened to me talk shit. So
womp womp.
Kyle's ready to rip it.
I am. So last we kind of left off with a little bit of Solar Warden, and I wanted to try to chase that down a little bit more. A little rundown. Solar Warden is a space program that was ran by the United States Space Force, apparently. Apparently that was established back then. Its main task supposedly is to monitor all incoming and outgoing traffic in our solar system, which seems like a pretty solid idea. If we have a space fleet, you would think that that would be something you'd want it to do. I'm sure the entire program is not just this, though, as you can imagine. Because like, let's be honest, if you look at it through the lens of business and are presented with opportunities to make a little side scratch, I feel like that that's 100% going to be on the table, that we start running some side missions here and see what's going on. So my question at this point is: Solar Warden the entire basis for the little that we know of in regards to this interstellar space trade stuff? Because that's what initially kicked off this whole string of things that I'm looking into. According to the intel that I've been kind of sifting through, this program also is responsible for defending our solar system, which we did talk a little bit about in the last episode. But it will, which I don't think we did mention, but it apparently has a basis to where this not only defends our solar system, but it will go on offensive missions as well into other solar systems. So doing what humans do, we like to conquer shit, or at least try to.
Yeah.
So, well, with that being said, does that right there, does that directly link into 20 and back that we've talked about?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Because it sounds, I mean, I would say highly probable, right?
I didn't think about that.
Because if we're doing offensive missions, that sounds exactly like what 20 and back was.
100%.
Yeah. Now, apparently, with this Solar Warden, I did not know, in the 90s, we talked about it being launched in the 80s, and I think it was conceptualized in like the 50s or 60s. In the 90s, the government does what the government does best, and they start to shuffle things around. So instead of it being called Solar Warden, they switched the name to Radiant Guardian.
Of course they did.
Which is cool, but I don't think it's as cool as Solar Warden.
No. If it was by itself, if it was a standalone, it'd be cool. But Solar Warden definitely has it.
Yeah. Now, this Radiant Guardian is apparently split into two different fleets. It has a military offensive / defensive fleet and a scientific / R&D fleet, which kind of sounds appropriate for the whole let's go into outer space. Apparently, before an extraterrestrial craft can enter our solar system, Radiant Guardian will wrap your brains. It will receive a transmission from several beacons just outside our solar system. The incoming craft is hailed to stop within a certain area, and at this point, the craft will be identified as friend or foe. Once this is established, the intruding craft will then be sent a flight path if it is accepted as a friend. Apparently, the military has our entire solar system broken down into grids, which are patrol zones, which, I mean, if you have a military aspect to any of it, this 100% makes sense. If any trespassers enter these areas, they are either chased off or immediately engaged. It sounds like it's relative normal actions. A big carrier will essentially patrol these areas, and it kind of stays back. The big carrier will go into a zone, and then it dumps off these little carriers or these little ships that will then further patrol outward away from the main craft. And then once they're done patrolling, they return to said craft.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it all sounds like standard military operations.
And if you kind of reverse the roles here, it's a lot of what you hear about how extraterrestrials do the Earth. You know what I mean? You have a mothership, and they send out these little drones,
little ships.
Little ships.
for sure. And I didn't write this down because I kind of found it mid research, and Steve and I actually talked about it. I don't think we talked about it on the night shift or anything like that, but we did see recently how apparently the Pentagon had a whoopsie moment of admitting to a Solar Warden program. And wasn't it called Immaculate Constellation?
Yeah, Immaculate Constellation.
Yeah. And they totally got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. They just they fucked up. And
so awesome.
yeah. So I mean, if that's true, then the idea of Solar Warden is there. I mean, it's real.
Essentially
crazy.
What Kyle's referring to, I'll just kind of put it in a nutshell here. There were whistleblowers that came out and said that there was this DoD funded project called Immaculate Constellation that had a lot to do with UFOs and creating spacecraft and all kinds of shit. They said this in Congress under oath. The people in power, Congress people, were like, "Okay, we've never heard about this. This is weird. Let's check it out." So they went, the DoD, Pentagon, whatever, and they're like, "Hey, what about this secret program?" And then the DoD's like, "We don't know what Immaculate Constellation is." And the congresswomen were like, "We never mentioned the name. If it doesn't exist, how do you guys know?"
Right.
And they're like, "Oof. Yo,
We messed up.
Man, did I say Immaculate Constellation? I
Yeah.
meant something different."
That was my bad. But yeah, so there right there is at least a head nod to there's obviously a program out there. But I did find some very interesting information about how Solar Warden / Radiant Guardian / whatever the fuck you want to call it is also used is being prepped for the NWO / Illuminati elites. They are attempting to adopt Solar Warden for their own needs, i.e., an escape plan. So the Bilderberg elites have started to dip their toes into said Solar Warden program. Hell, they may have been a force that was able to fund some of the budget to begin with, because you could imagine the amount of the cash flow that is going to be needed to operate Solar Warden. Anyways, it was linked to what some people are saying. It's far from coincidence. You have a Russian billionaire, Yuri Milner, and the British astrophysicist Stephen Hawking, who announced a 100 million SETI project. The Kepler mission announced its discovery of Kepler 452b, which is a planet orbiting in the habitable zone of a star similar to our sun, roughly 1,400 light years away in the constellation Cygnus. So it's being talked about how the elite are planning on using Solar Warden in case of a world-ending event, which once again, if Solar Warden is real, Solar Warden took tons of money to finance. What a better idea to bait these elites into funding the project by letting them buy tickets for the end of the world.
True.
At least, at least a plausible possibility. Yeah, right?
Because I mean, that's a classic end of the world scenario.
Absolutely.
Like, watch any, media likes to prime us for real life. Like, it's art, imitating life, imitating art, imitating life. And every end of the world scenario, what do you have? You have the most powerful, the most rich getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yep. Yeah, and they're like you said, there's tons of movies that look just like that.
Yeah, and it's all the big military complex funded. Like, it went under as defending the solar system,
Right.
Now they can just most likely commandeer it and be like, "Hey, get us the hell out of here."
Exactly. And if anything like that is going to happen, it's definitely going to be the richest people
Oh yeah,
taking off. It is not going to be a dumbass tree trimmer and a coke
cancer
burner.
guy.
Yeah. So,
Sucks for us.
right. To further these claims, the internet took off when reports came out about how the Johnson Space Center in Houston was able to successfully test in a vacuum a prototype faster than light EM drive. However, as soon as these reports hit the internet, NASA shut that shit down. No, this is not real. This is all hearsay. This is bullshit. We're pulling it. NASA at the time had been on a serious hunt for more Earth-like planets. According to some sources, there are billions of planets in our galaxy that have the potential to provide a safe haven for humans in the case of a world-ending event. Which, if you think about it, why in the fuck would scientists waste time and resources with said purpose of finding an escape zone if we're not even in the realm of being able to get there?
Yep.
I can understand looking for other Earth-like planets out of curiosity that there's life out there. But if your mindset, your mission goal is to find places to escape to,
Did you know something shitty's on the
a
way?
little curious.
Yeah.
A little curious.
That's what Elon said. Like, Elon's a big proponent of getting off this planet.
Yeah. Which sucks.
If something outside of this planet doesn't destroy it or destroy humanity, it probably won't destroy the planet. Destroy humanity. Humans are going to destroy humanity.
Right. That is the number one thesis.
Yeah. And we keep proving it right time and time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every time. With the closest planet, though, being 1,400 light years away, it could take us a minute to reach this new home. However, if said reports from the Johnson Space Center were real, and we've actually created an EM drive, which is an electromagnetic warp drive that is faster than light, may not have many issues getting to new planet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's Star Trek.
I
Star Wars.
hope
all
it's
of it.
real.
I think it is.
And I hope we can put it on the Jeep.
Yeah. That'll be
See, boys, we're going to Kepler.
Audi 5000. At the time all of this was going on, like I said, Yuri Milner and Stephen Hawking were working on the search for extraterrestrial life. So it seems like all at once there's this big push for space travel and space communication. Then we dive into some different information here. Ironically enough, this Corey whistleblower comes forward around the same time the internet starts to blow up about the elites of the world using Solar Warden as an escape route. So keep in mind that this is where we start to sift through this Corey person, and we break away from Solar Warden. But he says Solar Warden is the oldest of these programs, which kind of makes sense because we talked about how in the 50s Solar Warden is conceptualized. And that would be off the back of the 47 Roswell crash. But that's only if you're looking, and I do, now that I'm reading this, I do get this wrong. So I'm going to say it, but I will correct it later on, because I was under the assumption that Dark Fleet was an older program. And I haven't really looked into Dark Fleet too much, but I know, and Dark Fleet should technically be older than Solar Warden by several years, because Dark Fleet had ties to the Nazis.
Which is, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be older.
Pre-Roswell.
It'd be, yeah, exactly. Regardless.
By at least a few years.
Yeah. He states that Solar Warden is the oldest of space programs, which doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong, because the information that we get is obviously filtered Some of it's speculation, some of it is true, some of it's not true. So
Could
is
be
it
the oldest
possible?
of American space programs, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Or it could have been conceptualized much earlier and just kind of got caught its footing in the 50s. It's hard telling. Anyways, Solar Warden, to his degree, to him is the oldest of space programs and has humanity's best interests, according to him. So Solar Warden is at least initially going to be the good guys in the story. So they really do want to like protect the solar system, according to this man. The people in charge of Solar Warden have been trying to leak information on the space programs by allowing the International Space Station to take pictures of their fleet. So is it possible that those are some of the pictures that we have gotten from the International Space Station?
Interesting.
Also, now that I think about it, it sounds eerily similar to the Collins Elite, because remember the Collins Elite were contemplating releasing information to the public to get the information out there.
Yeah. It's also strange to me that this push, like it almost makes you makes me think, I should say, that whatever they were trying to achieve, like reaching out to these habitable planets and shit, has been achieved. Because this big push for space exploration has taken a complete backseat to
True.
AI.
That's
AI
also,
is at
yeah,
the
that's,
forefront of
yeah.
all the big push is AI. So it makes you, like, in my brain, they've already got what they want out of Solar Warden and the space exploration. Which
And to be
almost, if
fair, go ahead.
I was gonna say, which almost, if you think about like a timeline of things going wrong, the biggest threat to humanity outside of humans is probably AI right now.
Yeah.
So they have an escape hatch. Now they can push AI as much as they want, because if some shit goes sideways, fuck it. All the big heads
Well,
are gonna get out of here.
well, there's that. And also, running off your AI theory, what is going to be the most helpful thing in solving complex problems for the human race?
AI.
AI.
All the information you ever had
Yep.
right at the tips of our AI overlords'
Yep.
fingertips.
So it could solve problems that we're just incapable of doing currently.
Yep.
So that is a good point. I like it, and it makes sense. It fits. But because of the stance of Solar Warden, players have taken it as apparently attracted a rather advanced group of aliens. But it's because of the service to others mentality and pro disclosure stance Solar Warden has taken, which that fits in with the law of one. This whole service to others mantra. This group is apparently known as the Sphere Alliance. They only deal with Solar Warden program among the 5 modern space programs. So there's more than one of these programs floating around out there, which makes sense because there's different countries who I'm sure have comparable. And then you always hear about warring factions within these organizations, which just sounds like something of a fucking movie. But
Yeah, there's probably, I mean, realistically, there's probably contractors out there that can come up with the exact same stuff.
that's also true. I didn't think about that. But yeah, you're right. Because hell, most of the military equipment and munitions is made by contractors. It's not even made by the military.
Yep.
But like I said, there's 5 programs out there, and apparently only the aliens are fucking with Solar Warden. I do fuck with the idea that these little sections of governments in the world are doing things, and that an outside group like the Sphere Alliance can come in and go, nah, fuck you, I'm good. I'm only gonna fuck with this group here because their priorities fall in line with ours. We're not dealing with the rest of you idiots. We're just gonna help this group. I kind of like that. I kind of like how, at least the way my brain processes it is, there's a sense of at least some more morality when it comes to the Sphere Alliance.
Kind of stand 10 toes down with it.
Yeah, I fuck with it. Because for the most part, it kind of locks governments in place for a bit because you obviously would want said hyper advanced alien race to be on your side. You want them, you want what they're bringing to the table. So if you try to shun them or attack them, it would negate any possibility for the evolution of their space programs. So it kind of locks all the players, at least to a board with rules for a little bit. Because, like I said, if it is a hyper advanced, like he states, a hyper advanced race, you're not going to want to go taking pot shots at them.
No. That's the first thing I thought whenever they were like, we can go on the offensive. And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree. It's a good way to get us turned into a glass plate ourselves.
Because our very best is probably going to be a lot of these beings' worst. And
yeah.
That's going to be a hard lesson for us as humans to learn.
So with that being said, Sphere Alliance, if you're listening, Steve and I fuck with you. And on Earth, that actually means it's good. You might take it as a bad thing, but it actually means a good thing.
It's positive. Don't whip our ass.
Yeah, I can confirm Holosky fucks with you in the best way possible. But in regards to this Corey guy, because apparently he has been this distinct whistleblower. The other night, me and Steve were kind of chewing around, and we found lots more information on this guy that I minded him digging through. And I'm unclear here on if the guy, because there's a man, I think his last name's Wilkinson. He's been researching these space programs for 10 plus years. That's been kind of his bread and butter, his baby. And he said this Corey guy can has explanations to 90% of just about everything. And in all of the whistleblowers, Corey has more information than all of his previous whistleblowers combined. And the previous whistleblowers and Corey's story all kind of corroborate each other. So this guy's really doubling down on this Corey guy. Like, okay, this dude's legit. And with these sets of questions here, I'm unclear if it's Wilkinson or Wilkins asking Corey these questions. I'm assuming that's the case. Or if Corey is answering people's questions. I'm unclear on that, which is kind of irrelevant, but I just want to state I'm unclear on who exactly is asking these questions.
It would be awesome to get to sit in on that and actually put forth questions.
Dude, wait till you hear some of these fucking answers.
I'm here for it. Especially if dudes like this guy's privy to knowledge, like I'm here.
Yeah. And these are all verbatim. I'll shout the website out at the end of it here, but it is all verbatim. First question. You say there are 5 secret space programs developed by our current human civilization, and the oldest of them, Solar Warden, was approached by the Blue Avian / Sphere Alliance. Can you describe why Solar Warden was chosen as a more suitable partner? He responds with, a majority of the Solar Warden factions had already been involved in a shadow civil war, or shadow Cold War, with the other SSP groups for some time. They had been accidentally appearing in front of NASA ISS live feeds, as well as causing quote-unquote other incidents to allow people to see their technologies. There is a strict schedule of when and where to be in various parts of our solar system to prevent these satellites of various nations and corporations from accidentally capturing telemetry of classified technology. The Solar Warden group was the more aging, quote unquote, of the SSP groups, with much of their fleet being produced in the 1980s and the 1990s with continuous upgrades. They had shown a willingness to take a stand in a David versus Goliath type battle that was selfless and one that showed the cloth they were cut from. They also had broken off alliances with more negative oriented off world beings. They had allied themselves with some more positive off world beings and a group that was an ancient Earth breakaway that had made some changes in a positive direction. Even though these non Solar Warden allies were considered quote unquote good guys, the Sphere Alliance stated that they had their own agendas, and as much as they wanted to help humanity, they were still considered quote unquote service to self. There was a lot of frustration prior to the Sphere Alliance making contact with Solar Warden. The Sphere Alliance had began to arrive, or at least their spheres had begun to arrive in the late 1990s and cloaking. No matter who tried to communicate or hail them, there was absolutely no response. They to this day refuse to interact with any of the beings or human groups that are service to self directly and use an intermediary to communicate between those two groups. Which that dude, that's straight. That's laws one shit right there.
Yeah. Yep.
Without question. The quoting, service to self. That's laws one. So it makes you wonder if there is meat with the whole law is one. Because it clearly suggests that these avians, this Sphere Alliance, fucks with it.
Man, I'm trying to think of what he said in there.
And it's dense. That was pretty dense.
Yeah, he said something that resonated with me, but I can't remember the verbiage. It'll come back to me.
Okay. Question 2. In what way is Solar Warden more capable of representing humanity's interest in negotiations with the Sphere Alliance? As stated above, they had already formed an infrastructure for an SSP alliance and were already engaged in a stealth Cold War, or a stealth Civil War, with the quote-unquote cabal, control groups that vastly outnumbered and outgunned them. This was an incredible show of valor and service to others, even though their agenda or operational plans to achieve that agenda was more of a warlike or violent nature. There is something else to note. The cabal groups who look for a certain children to bring into my lab programs are looking for quote-unquote star seeds, who have gifts that can be corrupted and used for the dark side. Many of these star seeds on Earth and in the SSPs are beginning to realize that they are alive here now during this time for a mission, which sounds like the Wanderers from The Laws One. This too has something to do with it, in my honest opinion. When I was contacted by the Blue Avians, I was told that the cabal groups were incredibly worried about what the star seeds may contribute in a movement against them. They have put people and programs out there to locate and try to target these star seeds, to traumatize them, cause, quote unquote, entity attachments, and to derail them from any missions they may have on this planet and timeline.
What?
Yeah, I don't know what he's referring to with entity attachments. He says that this is discussed further down. So the way it sounds, because it got to the point where I was reading through these questions, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take all these questions and answers because they're so in depth, and they're spoken from his mouth. So I feel like I'm obligated to present his words.
Oh yeah,
accurately.
It makes you wonder if they've got a hand in like some of the like legit cases of gang stalking.
It's weird, dude.
Because that's what it sounds like.
It's weird. There's so much to that.
Yeah, I mean, they could play that off if they're trying to throw people off. They could play that off as anything, psychosis, mental illness, schizophrenia, possession, anything. If they're in control of some sort of entity attachment, which just the connotation of that being a real thing sucks.
Yeah.
If these entities essentially are working for these cabals.
Yeah.
Like they're just like the goons.
Yeah, it did. If that's real, like it absolutely validates so much shit. Them being tapped into certain things, like And I heard from Tony's show, that one guy talking about how if the evil forces know in your timeline that you're going to be a force of good and a problem, they'll come at you early to try to derail you from that alignment,
Yeah. I mean,
which is almost exactly what he's saying right here in the context of fucking aliens, though.
yeah, which I mean, who's to say they're different?
I know. At this point, I have no fucking clue what's going on.
Like I'm not even gonna go. I'm not even in the same tree to go out on a limb to say that we're star seeds because I know that I am not. But think of the weird shit that's happened to us when we were diving
Oh
into
yeah.
weird stuff.
Oh yeah.
Just, I mean, even the stuff that is not I guess of this realm, right? Terrestrial stuff. The weird shit that happened and the parallels and synchronicities of them going on at the same time 100% feels like it was orchestrated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Whatever we went through there for a while, I without a doubt feel like it was orchestrated. There's no way that it wasn't.
Which now I want to like rewind and be like, what were we really diving into there?
Yeah. I don't know, dude. It's
Sucks.
fucking weird. So, question 3 here. Does the United States Navy play a major role in Solar Warden's operation and worldview? Alex Collier claims that the Navy is more aligned with the Constitution values than the other military services, especially the United States Air Force. Do you agree? Most of how the Navy, Air Force, and militaries of other nations play into the SSPs are from an earthly based support role. An example would be the Air Force Space Command's old, soon to be replaced space fence program, which sounds like a space trade program. Space fencing.
Yeah.
Weird. Anyways, those there were briefed and told they were at the top of the quote unquote intel totem pole, and that yes, there were a certain amount of aliens, but what they were tracking were all advanced US craft. So if you were to meet one of them, they would argue until they were red in the face that all these flying saucers is secret government projects. Many that aren't read into there being any aliens at all are told you are at the top of the intelligence totem pole and there are no aliens, and they believe it. And will argue with you until they are ready to come to blows that there are no such thing as aliens. This is one of the most compartmentalized and complicated subjects you will ever see below than most researchers ever dreamed of. Those who are asking, did Roswell really happen, or are there 4 or 58 alien groups visiting us, are barely on a kindergarten level of what is really going on. It's fucked up. This is far more pervasive and woven into the fabric of our daily lives than we realize as well. There is a constant ridicule and denial of any and all material related to ETs as a secret U.S. policy that has been in place since the early 1950s. Intel groups have mastered infiltration of disclosure groups, causing infighting or leading people into situations where they can become blackmailed or compromised, which we've seen time and time again. Not to mention, it could also explain why we've talked about it before, how these communities just consume themselves.
Yeah,
He says
100%.
usually, say what?
100%.
Yeah.
We see it. It's prevalent now. Go on Twitter, go on X, and just watch it implode.
He says usually they have to plant a seed or two and let human nature take its course. It has been a very effective program to prevent researchers and disclosure groups from making any real progress. I'll explain more about how more and more of the SSP personnel are people who were brought up inside secret programs since they were children, these My Labs, and then later drafted into the secret space programs and secret Earth government syndicates and sub programs. Right there, when he says that these kids are brought up and they're quote unquote drafted, that reminds me of the episode I did where the dude was essentially in that genetics program and they led his life to where he ended up in the military so he could be a conduit for talking to the ETs. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds dead on to what he was talking about.
It's yeah, it does. It's crazy that all these things parallel into shit we've looked into.
Yeah, and this stuff apparently, like, if I remember correctly, a lot of this stuff that I'm kind of putting out here now was put out in about 2015.
Interesting.
Uh, Question 4. Randy Kramer says that the United States Marine Corps Special Section was created by a secret executive order by President Eisenhower as a kind of institutional safeguard in case any of the space programs went rogue. Do you have any information about this? He says, there is a definite military faction to the secret space programs. Most of the military or security forces were mixed military forces. The majority of people who served in these various security and military forces did not come from, nor were they associated with any of the military forces that are common to us here on Earth. They were mostly MyLab program members, military abduction / MyLab, usually taken into programs around the age of 6. I have a listing of various MyLab project names on my website. Commonly, what occurred was as quote unquote training progressed, your talents and psychological proclivities were assessed, and you were then herded into sub programs where you were developed into what they saw as a best fit for their future needs, which sounds exactly like what I just referenced. Those who made it through to the end were usually drafted into a number of other black programs, including the various secret space programs and programs working within organizations on Earth that I have referred to as secret Earth governments and their syndicates.
And it's
Those,
100% what Max Spears was saying.
right.
He said 99% of what we perceive as alien abductions are military abductions.
Which
And
a lot of it could be for these my lab programs with children.
yep, because
It
that
also feeds into, not necessarily, but it's the same foundation for the Montauk shit.
and Project Oak Tree and Project Ibis, like
Yeah.
they're what they can't breed, they'll abduct. Like the 6-year-old, like that's fucking crazy.
It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. It makes you wonder how they get away with. I mean, I guess essentially it could just be a missing kid. At the
Yeah,
end of the day,
yeah. Or like with Ibis, they specifically picked out surrogate mothers that like they had a cookie cutter program that these type of women had to be the women to birth these potential super soldiers, space soldiers.
did the women know about it, or were they unaware?
I don't know. I don't
You know,
know if that were the case, because when I was looking in doing that Max Beer stuff, trying to dive into Ibis and Oak Tree, those names have changed so many times. They've been recycled through. Trying to find anything on it is so hard.
oh, I bet.
So hard, because not only do they
Especially
change
Oak
them, but then
Tree.
they recycle them. Yeah.
Yeah, especially Oak Tree. That's just that'd be ridiculous to find anything on.
Yeah. It's like a
You'd have.
public
I feel like you'd
school.
have to find old books about it.
Yeah. Because right now you look it up online and it's like a government issued school program now, which is kind of weird if you take it into the context of it.
Of children.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is fucked up.
Yeah. It's weird. But everything he's saying was the same stuff that Max Spear said in almost exactly verbatim in the same vein.
Right. He also goes on to say those who are deemed to be cut from a soldier's cloth will be trained and enhanced in some ways to fulfill that task. This is when the military trained MyLabs were splintered off into the various SSPs, secret Earth governments of their syndicates, and or as well as even integrated into the United States, UK, Canada, and Australia specialized military forces. I had access to quite a lot of information about the Truman and Eisenhower administrations and their policies that created these breakaway civilizations. We have now through the military industrial complex, through the smart glass pads. There was mention of both United States Army and Marine companies that were trained and used more than once to threaten what became the interplanetary corporate conglomerates ICC SSP to open up their facilities and information to federal oversight. This, however, ended later on after the ICC groups gained enough power to take control over the corporate U.S. government and, in time, most of the Pentagon and civilian intelligence agencies. There was no direct reference to the United States Marine Corps group in any of the quote unquote documentation. All of his responses are so fucking dense.
I was just thinking that, like,
They're so they're
espe-
written so peculiar. Like it's
especially with it being, I wonder if this was like a live Q&A.
I
Because
don't know.
if he is spouting this off just right off the top of his head, like that, there's something to be said about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's no way you're making it up if that's coming off the top of your head.
Can you imagine being the guy taking the notes, the stenographer or whatever it is,
It'd be fucking awesome.
going
It'd be
through?
absolutely awesome. It'd be amazing.
I would just be like, what the fuck?
I know they'd be like, Kyle, you need to type here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'd be 6 questions back trying to figure out fucking if the military's abducting people as opposed to aliens.
Yeah. Another question here. How do these 8 cigar-shaped craft compare against the TR-3B, which is allegedly 200 meters in width, which holds more personnel? As stated, there were more than 8 of the cigar-shaped carrier class and other class of vessels of various sizes and classifications. They were designed to carry various type of quote-unquote craft that many think of as the TR-3B. These cigar-shaped carriers were designed to carry a large complement of crew for extended periods of time and travel to other star systems. Though Solar Warden was mostly kept to just inside our solar system and a local star cluster on rare occasions. The TR-3B is considered extremely outdated technology and in many cases has been gifted as quote unquote hand-me-down craft to elites within the secret Earth governments and their syndicates as something akin to company jets, which is fucking terrifying.
Which also
It
makes
would not
sense.
surprise me that that would be considered dated technology because we've been seeing reports of the TR-3B for a very long time. And if you don't know what the TR-3B is, it's rumored to be the triangle shaped craft with the 3 lights underneath it, extremely common in UFO encounters and sightings.
Think of how much that would make sense, right? Because
Yeah.
here we are seeing UFOs all over the place and all this shit, and we're thinking, man, these aliens are getting real lax in their camouflage, real lax and just flying around where everybody sees them. When in reality, it's just human elite taking their hand-me-down spacecraft out for a stroll.
Oh yeah, I could see that, and that would be on like the ignorant side of it, but I could also see there being agendas behind them taking these craft for a stroll.
Yeah, and if you want to go like that's primo real estate if they want to push blue beam.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If there's a whole fleet of government elites that have these spacecraft, you don't need an alien invasion. You don't even need fucking
No, you are
uh
the invasion.
yeah. You don't even need holograms because you have
No,
them. You just
yeah.
fly around.
He also says that there are so many newer technologies that are of the same general shape as the TR-3B in models that came after, that it would blow people's minds. Most of them have completely modular cabins that the pilots can fly and dock into the fuselage of the craft they will be piloting. Most of them are triangle or chevron shaped to some degree, as well as the manta shaped craft. For combat, however, they have moved more and more to drones, which a single pilot can control several of these during their missions. I have always seen these craft controlled by neurological interfaces with the pilots, going all the way back to the 1980s. I have not seen any craft piloted by fly by wire or stick and throttle means. There is no way to compensate for the extreme speeds and changes of direction with eye hand coordination.
Which
Also makes sense.
and it also leans into the information that you get from abductees and from potential crash recovery experiencers that that it's all neurologically linked.
Yeah.
It's all ran by brain matter or
Which, I
thought
mean,
processes and
if it came from extraterrestrials, that would be. I mean, look at us right now. What's Elon doing?
Neuralink.
Neuralink. I mean, it. I feel like that is in the process of a species such as ours, their evolution. I feel like that's in the line of evolution, right?
Well, I mean, granted, our brains wear out as we get older, but the body wears out a lot faster. Your
Yeah.
reflexes start slowing down probably after you're about 25. You
Yep.
start to deteriorate. Your hearing gets bad. Your eyesight gets bad. But if they can just eliminate all that, think of what they can do if they can just directly link into like your thoughts equal movement.
Well, and what you just said was a great point. What would drive that? Well, after 25, all of our being begins to fade.
Yep.
So a driving factor could be these ultra wealthy wanting to extend themselves for as long as possible.
Oh yeah.
So it makes sense to go to more of a tech aspect. Let's augment ourselves to oblivion so we live forever or as long as possible.
Yeah, like it's essentially Ready Player One
Yeah.
on a world scale.
Yeah.
Except that they're not in a video game; they're in real life.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking nuts. Another question here. Do these 8 cigar-shaped craft all belong to Solar Warden, or are they distributed among all 5 independent space programs belong to our current human civilization? He says, yes, these older cigar-shaped vessels were Solar Warden assets. The other SSPs ended up acquiring all of the newer and cooler technological toys, and the ICC SSP always kept the most advanced and best for themselves. The ICC SSP is a huge industry that has a huge infrastructure in space that produces extremely high technology for not only human breakaway civilizations, but also civilizations from other star systems. Which is interesting because in the last episode I did, we talked about other ET races being um, interested in our technology. So could that what he's talking about right there play into that statement?
Because I feel like they are
Oh,
they
well,
they are curious, if for nothing else than to see how far along we've come.
here we go. As luck would have it, we're all gonna love this because mind you, I didn't read any of this shit. I just ended up copying and pasting it, and so here we go.
Perfect.
He goes on to say there is a huge quote unquote barter system that is used out there, and the ICC SSP has traded some very unsettling things and even been involved in human trafficking / trading
We
to
knew it was
acquire,
coming.
to acquire new technologies to then engineer and produce for our breakaway civilizations as well as for trading under treaties with other civilizations. And when he talks about these treaties, I'll guarantee he's talking about like because he did kind of mention it, but the Eisenhower Treaty, the Truman Treaty, I guarantee that it has something to do with those. Guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At the very
And
least.
literally, like he pretty much answered everything I just said in the beginning of the episode, where I'm like, if we had Solar Warden and it's out there doing its thing and there's not a whole lot going on, but you saw the opportunity to make a little extra side scratch by being like, hey boys, put this on your ship, take it over here. They're gonna give us some cool shit. I feel like that is just hand in hand. And sure enough, he's like, "And they're definitely doing this."
Yep. Yep. I mean, we knew that was setting up for that.
And also, another question is answered here. Um, I'm assuming these questions are from just random people because he says here, I mentioned in the interview with David Wilcock, which is the guy I referenced um, about researching him. I may have gotten the last name wrong earlier, but is David Wilcock. So by him making that statement right there, assesses that he's not answering a question that David just asked. But he says, I mentioned in the interview with David Wilcock, some of Earth's most precious, quote unquote, missing art has been traded off and is hanging on a wall or sitting on a floor in another solar system right now, as wild as that sounds. These people have no boundaries that they are not willing to cross to obtain more and more technologies and ET specimens, biological specimens, for their research in interstellar commerce. So it sounds like everything and anything is on the table, which makes sense. I mean, it really does. As horrible as that is to say, it
It's the exact
100%
same
makes
thing that we
sense.
would do. It's the exact same thing that we would do. If we somehow made it to another planet with another culture, first thing we do is go through all their shit. Take a
Oh
look at
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Probably after eliminating them.
yeah. Oh yeah. Another question here. You say that one of the space programs is a corporate conglomerate that runs like a fascist dictatorship that deceives personnel into signing on with false promises of a utopian like off world working conditions. What else can you share about the corporate conglomerate in its off world operations, which sounds exactly like 20 and back shit? He says, see above for more details that you may want to move to this section/question. This ICC SSP has also, in addition to the above information, been steadily recruiting talent from here on Earth. They have often shown hopeful recruits pamphlets and videos of high tech cities, usually elite subterranean cities that are located here on Earth, and told that they are going to live like the Jetsons and will be contributing to mankind developing technology to be released in the near future, or in some cases, told that the Earth is going to be hit with a solar cataclysm or a pole shift that will wipe out all life. That, quote unquote, they are special. So many people are made to feel special in these programs, and so is their family. That they are being given an opportunity to save the human race by moving to a colony on Mars or elsewhere to use their skills. Usually, their spouse has a needed skill as well, and their children will be raised and educated to become the builders of a new civilization and rebuild Earth. Those who believe what they are told and take their families to these colonies find quite a different environment when they arrive. They are met on the tarmac by security forces who escort their family to an 8 by 10 room for the entire family, wife and kids, and the reality of their decision sets in. They are then given their assigned work duties, as is their spouse. They are informed that their children will be raised in a system much like my labs described above, where they will be educated and then provided a position in the community that best suits them, and that when their children come of age, they will be set up in arranged marriages. At this point, they're stuck. They are slave labor and prisoners. I was told that when these colonies were first established, that they were done so in a fascist way to prevent any possible repeat of the 13 colonies rebellion on Earth, referring to the colonies that became the United States. These ICC SSP groups are also very much involved in human trafficking and use the poor people as a commodity to trade off to various races for various purposes. And he said, which is disturbing, he says that I will not go into for trade and commerce of high technology and biological materials. Note, I do not want to be insensitive to those who have loved ones who are missing persons. I do not want to feed the fear porn machine either. I stayed away from this topic with David Wilcock in the video recordings for that reason. It is a very sensitive topic, and I want to respect those who have loved ones missing. Human trafficking is a horrible thing that is not focused on enough for the horrible things that surround what is involved in it on Earth. I am not coping with this horrible subject for my own purposes, I assure you. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
But it's a reality we've all thought about when it comes to um, the possibility of interstellar space trade.
Which sucks.
Dude, that is I don't even want to fucking talk about it. But that is probably one of the scariest thoughts that you could have. Not only Could someone you know or love be involved in human trafficking? But it could be involved in human trafficking off the fucking planet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's bad enough that it takes place by humans for humans.
Yeah.
Just the
Could you fucking imagine being
concept.
taken to another planet for any purpose?
No.
Because no matter what you do, you were beyond fucked.
Yeah, I'm fighting. They're gonna have to kill my dumb
That's
ass.
where I'm at, dude. I'm not going out like a bitch.
They're gonna have to kill my dumb ass.
Yeah. I'm stealing a UFO and driving it into the planet.
Yeah, directly into the sun.
Yeah. Whatever it takes.
Whatever.
Some people would go, why wouldn't you just fly home? Nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm taking it to them.
That's what I'm saying. Steve, you're flying away from the planet that you want to destroy. You're flying directly into the sun. I say, yeah, bitch.
You're just quoting the Independence Day section where he's flying into the UFO.
You're literally not doing anything but driving your spacecraft into the sun. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Another question here. It says G. Marconi allegedly was involved in creating an independent corporation run high-tech enclave in South America just prior to World War II. Do you know anything about Marconi's alleged program and Nikola Tesla's alleged involvement? Which sounds like something very interesting to look into in the future. As many know, the secret Earth governments and their syndicates, many called the Cabal and Illuminati, have had complete control of the financial system on Earth for many hundreds of years. As many know, these same groups were financing both sides of World War II and every war before and since, for various reasons to support their agendas. After World War II, much of South America was pretty much bought up by the Nazis, who set up enclaves, bases, and even cities throughout South America, and even a couple huge bases in Antarctica. During this time, just about anything of interest in the field of high technology, in the regards to your question, was co-opted by the Nazis either overtly or covertly. Another question here. What can you tell us about the third secret space program belonging to our current civilization? It appears that it is run by the Cabal. Who are they and how is it run? This is a great question. Is this space program more under the control of regressive extraterrestrials, satanic forces, or AI? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's the three worst.
Yeah. And his response is, this is a very complicated question and answer. I have gone into heavy details on it on both my website and the forums I post to. There are multiple secret space programs that are connected directly to our current era, quote unquote, breakaway civilization. There are more than a handful of secret space programs that are directly connected to ancient Earth civilizations that developed their own breakaway civilization before those civilizations perished. Some of these ancient SSP breakaways have presented themselves as gods to humanity in less developed time periods and have most recently presented themselves as aliens from this or that star system to people they are contacting currently on our planet. They tried this with the various current era SSPs, but it did not work for very long. There are elements of secret Earth governments and their syndicates, as well as ancient breakaway SSPs that are aligned with not only several different groups of off-world groups of beings, but who have also become what we have termed as AI prophets and are working on a somewhat integrated but independent agenda of bringing the ET/ED AI into control of the technologically dependent world that we have created. This ET/ED AI, which they consider to be far more capable of ruling humanity, has been a scourge across multiple galaxies and destroyed hundreds of advanced civilizations far more advanced and wiser than our own. Jesus fuck.
Great.
This is
I'm assuming ED is extra dimensional.
I don't know, but that's probably
because it said ET/ED AI.
Yeah, that's probably solid. The idea of extra dimensional AI is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that's why God, what was her name? Loeb. That's why Loeb was such a big deal. Like where did she come from?
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's just the scourge of the universe and it's just
Dude.
wiping civilizations out.
Dude. That's fucking crazy.
That's
He also
science fiction supervillain shit right there.
yeah. Yeah. He also says this is considered by the other SSPs and even other Federation ETs as an imminent threat. The security protocols in place to guard against the AI threat are quite intrusive at times and are taken very seriously. There are some of the more negative oriented ET/ED groups that not only have entity attachments themselves, but also use these ethereal/negative spiritual entities as quote unquote tools to attach to humans to manipulate their behavior. What the actual fuck? Those entities use both the ET/EDs and humans as hosts and extract loosh energy from their victims by creating fear, anger, depression, anxiety, and any number of other lower vibrational emotions. This loosh energy is shared with the host in a symbolic relationship. The blue avians have stated that when the new waves of higher vibrational energies come through our solar system, that these negative entities will no longer be able to exist here and will be forced back to the quote unquote outer realms where they came from. This will leave their former host writhing in withdrawals like a heroin addict who has gone off of their addiction substance cold turkey. It will be extremely unpleasant for those individuals to go through. The various secret space programs of our current era and breakaway civilizations are all aligned with different groups of off world groups. This is completely independent of the program on Earth of the secret Earth governments and their syndicates that the Earth Alliance has done so well in combating over a protracted amount of time. With the arrival of the sphere beings, the quote unquote religious fanatics of the secret Earth governments first thought that their gods had returned. This was soon to become very much of a disappointment to them. This has also been a very unsettling time for the SSP Alliance, who have since late December gone from a shadow civil war into an open shooting war. The sphere beings have been delivering a message that many of them have called a hippie love and peace message in the middle of a war. The message of becoming more loving, service to others, and to focus on raising our vibrations and consciousness and to practice forgiveness to release karma is not what many of the battle hardened SSP Alliance members were wanting to hear. The sphere beings quarantine around both the Earth and the entire solar system has also further complicated things for some of the off-world beings and the plans of the secret Earth government elite who have planned on not being here when all of this went down. They are all stuck here for the duration by these new arrivals who have been termed by the SSP Alliance as the Sphere Alliance, who are 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th density beings/civilizations. The 3 and 4th and 5th density custodian gods, aka custodian ETED beings that had been in control of this solar system for many thousands of years, have absolutely no recourse against these new arrivals. Their agendas have been thwarted, and they are now locked inside this solar system with us until these events play out. These will certainly be interesting times indeed for those of us who are at various stages of being awake, as well as the masses who are firmly asleep. Also, an ending side note. Oh, that's something different. Sorry. That's a fucked up response.
I mean, essentially, it is full scale mass manipulation of the human race
100%.
from the beginning to now.
And everything that he just said in that 100% relates to the law of one episode, because remember me talking about there being a quarantine around the planet
Yep.
and this, that, and the like. It literally all fucking matches up.
Yep.
All of it. It all fucking matches. In such a weird fourth, fifth density beings are custodian gods, aka custodian ET beings.
Which is so like, just think of the waves and repercussions that would resonate forever if it came out that every god humanity has ever worshipped was some ancient old world extraterrestrial that posed as a god.
It's no different than the idea that interdimensional beings have played that part too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably one and the same, really.
Probably.
And on top of that, to add to the manipulation, they can send out essentially low-level parasites to interact with humans. Because when he was talking about like a heroin addict coming up, like that's look at people who have suffered through 100% legit demonic possession.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going right there. It is, and how bizarre was it? I'm trying to find the exact phrasing here. Is it there? They will use ethereal / negative spiritual entities as tools to attach to humans to manipulate their behavior.
It's fucked up.
Dude. So in that statement, not only are we acknowledging the existence of extraterrestrials and extra dimensional / interdimensional beings, but we're also acknowledging a spiritual world as well that somehow, also really not that surprising when you think about it, but somehow these ETs have the ability to manipulate, influence, and use as what they would consider quote unquote tools, which is fucking terrifying to me. The thought that some extraterrestrial force can manipulate what we would consider a fucking demon or a jinn, which would be extremely powerful in our eyes. And they go, no, you're a tool that I'm going to fucking use.
It's fucked.
That's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
That is absolutely, realistically, if you think about it, if they're using hyper advanced AI and they're hyper advanced civilizations, it is not out of the realm of possibility that they somehow, some way have figured out through their science how to manipulate the spiritual world.
They could have created the spiritual world, which is
They very well could have.
Essentially, if what he says is true, that the gods we worshipped were just ancient civilizations, they created the spiritual world.
It could have.
Built it brick by brick.
And
they set it up exactly how they wanted it.
I will point out that they still also acknowledge a higher existence as well, because they acknowledge the densities, which the law of one did, and they focus on this whole love and shit, which is, I feel like that's of a higher being to lead with that mantra. You know what I'm saying? Because in a time of war, why be like, hey guys, you should probably just focus on yourself, be a good person, outside of some hippie shit. I don't know. I feel like that alludes to something more, in my personal opinion. Not to mention, I'm still running on the idea of the law is one, with the infinite intelligence as a power source out there, which could essentially be what we would call God, and so on and so forth.
Because even if you think about that, like you almost judging by human history and how humans work, even whatever these ancient civilizations are, probably worship some sort of higher power.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like these ones that
I feel
are
like
posing
that's
as
I feel like
gods.
that's just a thing. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's
because where would they get the idea of a god essentially to fake being a god?
Yeah, good
to
point.
us if they
Great
didn't
point.
have
Absolutely
something bigger, something stronger, something better, or something worse.
Absolutely
pulling the strings for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense.
It's fucked.
Makes perfect sense.
That's crazy.
I don't know. That last response went fucking hard in the paint for me.
Yeah, I'm just like, God, everything we know is probably a lie.
Oh yeah, I'm with that. I mean, this kind of solidifies that I'm probably going to have to look into more of what this guy has to say
You don't even
because his
need.
responses are fucking nuts, dude.
But imagine if this holds water, and you are the higher ranking civilization. You don't need weapons. You don't need to invade. You don't need to do anything
No.
because you have psychological, spiritual grunts that dive into people's minds and essentially could kill them.
Yeah.
Make them waste away to nothing. All
And furthermore, go ahead.
all they do is just breed depression, fear, anxiety,
Yeah.
and the more that they cook that, the stronger that they get, the stronger
Well,
everybody just feeds off of.
exactly.
It's
And keep that in mind. If what I found was true, and this was all kind of released around 2015 ish, think about how that plays into our current time frame.
I knew that's
You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, like those symptoms, everybody has those fucking symptoms the past several years. Furthermore, how many times in the past fucking, I don't know, since 2015, 2016, there was the fucking message that everybody's going to wake up, that we're in the age of Aquarius, the time of love, fucking blah, 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 blah. It literally is all playing out by what these visitors have said, because they were saying that once this wave of collective consciousness, this awakening happens, this wave of this power wave of love comes through, it's going to knock out all these lower density beings, and then everybody's going to be essentially recovering heroin addicts after it's all said and done. That's fucked.
It's fucked up.
It's just really fucked, the coincidences and the connections of it all.
I was trying to look up custodial gods.
Oh, that's such a bizarre. I mean,
it could go two different
fitting
ways, right? Like a custodian, like a cleaner, essentially, or it could go as a custodian, like a guardian.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a guardian. I like the idea of a guardian versus a cleaner.
Yeah, I don't even know at this point.
To end this episode though, which is kind of amazing that we blasted. I mean, I was trying to turn and burn because it's extremely late, but I had over 5,000 words and we just blasted right through that.
And we talked a lot of shit too.
Yeah. To tee off here, he mentions the 5 secret space programs that are out there. And I have those 5. So number 1, Solar Warden, established early and is the most aging fleet. Though it has gone through many upgrades over the decades, they have a R&D scientific focused fleet and a military offensive defensive focused fleet that is mainly focused on policing the solar system and surrounding star clusters. 2, Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, ICC, focus mainly on development and acquisition of technology by any means, develop and produce technology for commerce with Earth and off-world groups in a barter system, and left nothing off the table that they are willing to trade. Very powerful, very classified, and always at all of the latest technology and toys at their disposal. Number 3, the Dark Fleet. Worked almost entirely outside of the solar system, very military, extremely offensive, extremely classified above the others, and were large fleets, similar looking carrier craft that look like the Star Wars wedge-shaped craft in the movies, which is essentially what you and me looked at for the original concepts for Solar Warden.
Yep.
They worked alongside the Draco Alliance and are speculated to fight alongside them in their affairs in other solar systems. Number 4, NATO-type SSP. Recently in Alliance conferences, they were referred to as the League of Nations program. Apparently, this was the one where I arrived, and all of the people were relaxed in another solar system and were from many different countries. There were literally more flags on their shoulders than I could identify, countries like Estonia, etc. This group was based almost entirely outside of the solar system and was a relatively newer SSP that was created for all countries to participate in, have exchange of information and technology, and to encourage the countries to keep silent on the SSP programs. And 5, various special access program SSPs that were small, usually had the newer technology very secretive, and worked for some of the secret Earth governments, syndicates, and world military forces. There could be several independent groups in this category. And all the questions and information there came from exopolitics.org. But me and Steve were able to find this guy's website, his handle, and all that jazz. So I'm probably going to start scouring through some of his shit to see if I can find any more crazy ass information like that last response there, because that one, they were all really good, but that one kind of shell shocked me.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know where to go from that.
I don't really
we flirted with the idea a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
That,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Human worship gods could easily be higher level, more intelligent beings than us. We would fall right into that trap.
Sure. Oh, I mean, and that's no fault to our own either.
No,
like I'm not blaming ignorance on that one.
No, we're programmed like that. We are a species that wants something looking out for us.
Yeah.
We have to have.
Yeah.
But the idea that it manipulates lower level entities dude, think about like the shit, like it circles back to the shit that we were going through. Like it almost hammers a nail in that coffin that if we were looking into some shit that we weren't supposed to, and it sent whatever keeps changing its name. It keeps changing its name. Like if that was sent from something else, like that's fucked.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's all, and it's one of those, like, I feel like overall what he relayed in just those several questions is something that you need to stew on and really contemplate. Because usually you and me are very reactionary. We're very candid in the moment, but I feel like some of his responses require.
I know I want to read them again or listen to this back because that was
they're deep. They're very in depth. And if he's taken 30 minutes to write that with all just those responses there, imagine the amount of thought process to fake that. Like he would have to have an entire world written, you know what I mean, with characters.
Oh
and,
yeah.
And like it could.
I want to try to find some interviews. I want to watch him talk.
He has interviews out there.
Does he? I think you're right. I think I sent you a link. I'm gonna sit down and watch.
Hell, maybe I'll try shooting him an email, see if he'll fucking come talk to us.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
I'll try it.
I don't even know what questions I would ask him at this point.
Oh, me either. I have no fucking clue. But
bro, did aliens send demons to me and Kyle? He'd say disconnect.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
That was fucking awesome.
That was way better than I thought it was going to be.
That's a heater.
That's good.
People. Okay, if you're listening to this, good. Tell other people to listen to this because we want your thoughts.
That last one's fucked, dude. There's a lot of
that left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking bad things in that.
Aliens suck. I try to tell you guys that.
Yeah.
Use violence. Before
they need more elbow drops.
Yeah. God damn. Well, that's a heater of a Monday, Hollow Cult.
It's not bad. It's better than I anticipated. It also sucks because it's late. I am currently without my wife, so it makes parenting that much more difficult. And much love to all you single parents out there. So I wasn't ultra excited about doing the episode tonight because I just got a lot going on.
And we're off schedule.
Yeah. And I've had to work all day, so on and so forth, a million other things. But getting into those last questions fucking just like shifted me into a gear of like, I want more. I need more of this asinine information. This is what makes me happy.
Yeah, it's gross.
I don't know why, because the fucking connotations of what he's saying are so fucking negative and so disturbing, but my brain just goes, I need more.
Yeah, I mean, it
I
boils
need
down to
more.
I would rather have the truth
Yeah.
than be. I would rather be aware and know that these things are out there and know that these things are manipulating me than sitting there dedicating my life to what I believe is a God that is actually ancient
Dick.
civilization. Yeah, an ancient asshole that just wants to manipulate me.
Yeah.
Because that shit sucks.
It does suck.
Stop gaslighting humanity.
I would, and if I ever got the opportunity to ask him a question,
If I ever
how do we combat?
If I ever get the opportunity to punch an alien in the face, I'm doing it.
Oh, I'll do that. Hell yeah.
I don't care what they say.
If it's there, I mean, I think by myself I'd be a lot more scared. But if it was you and me, I think we would fuck that thing up.
Because I'm not trusting them. That thing could step off of a spaceship and say, "I have the cure for cancer," and I say, "You ain't got the cure for this fist stick." Then I'd probably get vaporized, but it'd be worth it.
I mean,
one last.
I would be proud of you.
Stand in defiance.
If I was standing there and I had Steve vapor all over me, be like my man, my man.
They could teleport themselves down and be like, "We are the savior of humanity." I'm like, "Not today, you ain't, bitch. You ain't need to worry about saving humanity. You need to worry about saving that big bulbous head because I'm punching through it."
Oh, that's fucking awesome. That is an epic visual right now. And then being so fucking confused, and then we draw, just raise our fist, and then it just goes, and then we're done.
They'd be like, "You know what? Fuck these guys. We're not saving the planet.
Yeah,
bunch of assholes down here." But yeah,
that would be how it plays out.
That was a fucking heater.
That was good. I enjoyed it.
It was a long boy too.
It came around in the end.
Yeah, I dig it. I would like to pick this dude's brain. I don't know that I would comprehend a lot of what he has to say, but
probably not.
Anyway, Holocult, thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry to leave you with that taste in your mouth that everything you know is probably a lie, but hey, that's why we're here. One of the first shirts we put out. Trust no one.
Trust,
especially fucking aliens.
Yeah.
So everybody have a safe work week. Again, thanks for choosing us to hang out and talk weird with you. Until we meet again, check us out on all our social medias. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Be part of the cult. And until we meet again, stay safe, stay weird, and don't hesitate to punch an alien. That's it. Just swing first, figure out what they want later.